other things I'm looking at our power. The backbone of any good railroad is the quality of your power, quality of your locomotives. We've got 30 locomotives that 16 have 1 million+ miles on them. Now, we put about 60,000 miles a year on a locomotive. So we've got 15, 16 with 1 million miles. Now, you think that equipment's tired? It's tired. And I got to get some attention on locomotives. Everybody understands what Tier 4 locomotives are, how they rank locomotives by air quality emissions.
I think they could get that information.
Well, the older locomotives, they weren't designed with the latest technology for emissions, and so they come out with they developed a ranking system that ranks the efficiency or the cleanliness, I guess, of the locomotives. And it measures your NOx, your particulate matter. What else? What else am I missing?
NOx, SOx, particulate matter, basic hydrocarbons.
Well, we've got a chance. You know, one thing I'd like to do, I'd like to upgrade the horsepower of the locomotives. Most of these are 3,000 horsepower. I'm working with the manufacturers to see if we can get a 4,000 horsepower locomotive. Now, what's the advantage of a 4,000 horsepower locomotive? I can start to add cars without adding train starts to move more passengers. So, you know, we're going to look to upgrade that fleet very quickly. I think it's critical if we're going to be on time that we have locomotives that are the cleanest, most environmentally friendly locomotives, especially in this part of the world, and to have locomotives that have additional horsepower, so I can start to add cars to increase capacity for riders without adding train starts. So, you know, we're looking at locomotives. We're looking at a plan, an overall strategic plan of the railroad. And I look at capital improvements in 4 areas. Number 1, we're going to rank our safety projects. What are the things we can do from a technology standpoint or from an investment that'll increase the safety of the railroad? Number 2, we're going to look at line capacity. What are my constraints to growth? Because we have constraints. Whether it's parking constraints, I can have great service, but if people can't park their cars, they're not going to ride the train because there's no way to park their cars. So you have to look at everything from parking constraints to your train slots on your shared track agreement to just capacity on your railroad. This is as busy, dense railroad as you'll find anywhere in the world. And I've worked in Chicago. Chicago has 26 Class 1 railroads plus all the commuter agencies that work in and out of Chicago. You know, we will have on a busy day between freight and passenger 300 trains a day. That's a lot of traffic. It's a lot of volume. And you know, we can't forget we're balancing the passenger with the freight because industry depends on that. Port of Long Beach is the busiest port in North America, what, the 2nd or 3rd busiest in the world. So the United States is dependent upon good transportation to and from Long Beach. And you get down some of these corridors and it is congested. So you start looking at capacity, you start looking at how you manage not only the transit volume, but you have to take into account the freight because we share the right of way. So we're looking at capacity issues and what do we want to grow into. You know, everybody's heard of the 30-10 program that the vehicle grocers put out. You know, my recommendation was, hey, you want some shovel-ready projects? Let's finish double tracking all of Metrolink.
There you go.
You can help me with that. But you know, think about the safety improvements. Think about the capacity improvements. And one day it's going to have to happen. So let's, you know, if we're going to spend capital, can you think of any project that would create more jobs than being able to do that? Not only create jobs, it increases the public benefit, it increases freight traffic velocity, it improves safety. You know, there's so many benefits. So I'm trying to escalate. Let's look at, if we're gonna do a 30-10, let's double track, let's finish it. The other one that I'm looking at is operating efficiency. How do we just improve by a capital investment, reducing our cost? Why is that important? If I can reduce my operating costs, guess what? I don't have to increase fares. My base cost of operations goes down. So I'm constantly evaluating how do I make an investment reduces my cost structure. And then, of course, the last one that I don't think a lot of people think about is just your renewal rates. Everybody understand what a renewal rate is?
No.
What a renewal rate is, every year that railroad deteriorates. I have so many ties that deteriorate on an annual basis. I have so many road crossings that need replaced. I have so many turnouts, switches, rail that needs to be replaced, surfacing that needs to be done. So I know exactly what I have to invest in each one of those categories just to maintain status quo. Now, the other things that are unique about railroads, they don't deteriorate at an even level. It's exponential. There's 3,200 ties in a mile. What is there, 2,600 with concrete ties? And so if I take a mile of track, 3,200 ties, and let's say I have a 400 defective tie count in that mile, guess what? 2,800 now are absorbing that load that the defective ties are now. So now you're putting more stress on the system. So you start to deteriorate quicker. So the whole concept, we've got to make sure that we maintain our railroad at a high level on an annual renewal rate that just maintains it at a certain level. And so these are the kinds of things I'm going to start talking about and making sure that the funding agencies understand. You know, I'm a business guy. My background is in business. And I'm going to present a business case to the public that says, here's what we need, here's my professional opinion on what's going to drive the most value to make this system, I keep calling it to unlock the potential of Metrolink. Because when we take a system view and we start to say, here's our top safety projects, here's our capacity constraints, here's what we need to do, here's our power plan, here's what we can do with cars, you know, our fleet plan. That's what's going to make Metrolink be a preferred option for the public, because they know it takes them to where they need to go on time. They don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, am I going to get there? Am I going to be 30 minutes late? Or am I going to be late to work? Or am I going to miss my other connection? We got to be reliable. We got to be predictable. We've got to create an experience that the customers say, wow, I want to ride that. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot paying attention to detail, having a plan, getting people on board, but never forgetting that everything that we do is done through people. And when you forget about the human element, you're going to fail. So, I've rambled on enough. I'll open it up for questions.